A comprehensive sterilisation campaign is currently underway.
A recovered 73-year-old Chinese coronavirus patient in Abu Dhabi, UAE.
Abu Dhabi city now has less than 1% of COVID-19 cases thanks to the ongoing...
To understand the UAE's fight against the coronavirus, it's important to take a look at a timeline of events. January 29th, the UAE records its first cases of the coronavirus. February 9th, the UAE records its first patients to recover from the coronavirus. February 28th, the UAE cancels its first major event. March 3rd, the UAE orders the schools to be closed for 4 weeks, which later becomes the rest of the academic year. And now we stand here today, 5 months later. Over 3 million tests conducted in the UAE and 44,000 people testing positive for COVID-19. Now, the UAE has gone above and beyond to ensure the safety and security of the people throughout this pandemic. But as the UAE economy begins to open up, what does that mean for the community here? So the way that I think about it is, as the economy opens up and the UAE opens up for people to start going out again, there has to be a sort of easy system for people to get access to tests and help, like a sort of fluidity between the two. And today we're at the COVID-19 Assessment Center, the biggest one in Abu Dhabi, to see what happens. Let's look inside. All right, we are here at Abu Dhabi's COVID-19 Assessment Center. Now, what happens here in the yellow zone is when one patient tests positive once at a field clinic for COVID-19, they come here for an in-depth assessment. Today, we take you through that process. Let's go. Doctora, how are you?
Alhamdulillah, marhaba.
You doing good?
Yes, I am.
We know you're incredibly busy, so we won't take much of your time. So I want to ask you, what happens here at the yellow zone? I've seen people walking around with yellow stickers on their chest.
Yes, okay, so that's a very quick, let's say, differentiation from the main door.
Okay.
So if you've been tested positive somewhere in any medical center, then you need a confirmatory test. And this is the right place. This is the yellow hole. This is the right place where you're going to be tested again to make sure, are you really positive or negative? For example, when the patient comes in, let's go and check some of the stations here. We have around 16 stations in this zone.
So what happens here that doesn't happen in the first test?
Okay, so basically the patient's gonna come here, meet the nurse at the triage area. She's gonna check the oxygen saturation of the patient and ask a few quick questions.
Okay.
But very specific to make sure there's no risk factors where we need to transfer patient to the red zone.
Okay.
If everything is fine, he goes here second. He's gonna put his Emirates ID for registration process. Okay?
So they register, make sure everything's good.
Yes, just to make sure that the patient is being enrolled in Sahha's electronic medical records.
Got you.
After that, we're gonna go to number 3, and here where the patient is gonna have the nasal swab, basically.
So, and once they've finished the nasal swab, what happens?
Patient, they just get instructions regarding home quarantine process, and then they go back home awaiting the SMS for the results.
So, Doctora, in the assessment station, you mentioned 2 things. Number 1, someone who goes through that process and then goes home and waits for an SMS. But you also mentioned people who are showing critical signs or vital signs, they go to a red zone. What's the red zone?
Okay, great. That's really very important. So basically at the triage, one other point to put in the mind is that if, for example, a woman who is pregnant, someone who has a heart problem, high blood sugar, high blood pressure, someone is taking medication that really decreases their immunity, those also, that will go to the red zone. So let's have a quick look into the red zone.
عليكم السلام.
عليكم السلام دكتور، شو اخبارك؟ الحمد لله، كيف صحتك؟
الحمد لله رب العالمين.
الحمد لله تمام، الله يحفظك يا ربي. اهلا تسلم، اهلا اهلا.
So when someone comes into the red zone, where do they go?
Basically, patients are going to have a very comprehensive assessment, starting from nursing station to the vital signs, quick heart reading, along with the blood extraction for basic blood investigations, and the chest X-ray. If there's anything in the chest X-ray, there's doubts, we kind of go for a CT scan to make sure that the patient is get all the care he needs.
They do CT scans here?
Yes, we do.
That's incredible.
Yep. So basically, the physician is going to give a very tailored, consultation. If the patient is stable, is fine, then he can go back home with the home quarantine instructions. If not, require the further medical care, then he's going to be transferred to hospital.
So look at the attention to detail here. The yellow zone's waiting time is pretty short because it's a quick test. But in the red zone, there are longer waiting times because it's a more comprehensive assessment. So they've given chairs so people can be comfortable as they wait for their assessment. So right there is one of the green lights. So this is one of the empty rooms. They've given us permission to take a look inside. And as you can see, it looks pretty much like any doctor's office where you would get a checkup. You have all the technology here. You have the assessment area where people can get tested and be comfortable. ACs. It's amazing. Everything that we're seeing today took 10 days to build. Like, let that sink in. Now we're gonna take a look at the blue hall. And the blue hall is if someone's gotten a positive. So they've tested positive once, and now they've tested positive again, and now they need to do another assessment. That's where we're going now. Let's go. Okay, Doctora, now we're in the blue zone. And as far as my understanding goes, people who come to the blue zone definitely have the COVID-19 virus. What happens here?
Okay, so basically when patient comes in, he's gonna go for registration. After that, nursing station for full assessment. And finally, for physician consultation, making sure patient is doing well, and then gonna discuss about isolation options. If you are fit the criteria for home isolation, you're gonna have the smartwatches or the electronic wristbands. If not, then we're gonna discuss about other isolation options like hospital fields, hotels, and so on.
So how does that work? So if someone doesn't fit the criteria for home quarantine, what, they go somewhere else?
So we can arrange for them upon certain criteria, the isolation institution. We can talk to them, and upon approvals, then we arrange a transportation for the patient, and that's through an Uber, and patient safely can be transferred there.
All right, so let me just be clear about this. So if someone has the option, if they fit the criteria, to go to home quarantine. If not, then the government of the UAE will arrange an Uber or transportation.
Yes.
And arrange an isolation area for them to be able to stay until they're COVID-19 free?
Yes, you're right. That's completely. We're making sure that the patient is safe and feel really comfortable throughout the whole process, till he is safe back to the community.
And this is no charge?
No charge at all. You're in the UAE.
Okay, now here's what's incredible. Someone who is tested positive for COVID-19 that chooses to home quarantine, self-quarantine, they get these electronic wristbands. And what does this wristband do? It links up to the database of the Department of Health and keeps them informed of the vital signs of the patient for two reasons. Number one, to make sure that they are doing okay and recovering. And two, in case of an emergency, to be able to get them the help and the support that they need. Doctora, so what we've seen today is the journey of a patient who is tested positive for COVID-19 through this assessment center. Now, if someone gets an SMS saying that they're negative for COVID-19, I'm assuming that they just go on living their life.
No, you need to go to the purple zone as the message is going to direct you. You need 2 negative to be safe to the community.
Oh.
Yep.
Okay. Right now we're in the purple zone, or what a few people have told me is the negative zone. Now, why is it called the negative zone, and what happens here?
Okay, so basically in the purple zone, we call it the safest zone. So almost your body is clearing up the virus remnants, okay? So the patient comes in here for us to take a second negative test. As you can see, at every station we have registration, and then you go for a swabbing, and then back home safely.
So, Doctora, you know, in the news, what you're seeing is the UAE economy start to open up, malls start to open up, shops start to open up, public places start to open up. So the question that I have here is, when you look at all the work that you've done, this huge center that you have, all these assessments, all these field clinics, my question is, when will something like this not be needed anymore?
We are here. As long as this, this pandemic is going on, we are here. We are gonna support you till the end.
Bless you and everyone that's doing this incredible work. Yani, it's one thing to hear about it, but it's another thing to see the incredible effort that you're all doing. God bless you, God bless your team.
Thank you.
And wishing you all the health and all the happiness,
Thank
inshallah.
you, this is
God
our
bless
duty.
you.
Thank you so much.
Bless
Thank
you.
you, Father. Take care.
And now standing here today, seeing what I've seen, After everything this country has been through, I think I'll take one lesson away. Is that when times were the hardest, when the decisions were the toughest, it was we, the people, who came first. It was the health and well-being of the residents and citizens and families and everyone that calls this country home that came first. We mattered. We mattered the most. And no resources was spared in proving that to us every single day. And for me, that is a lesson I will take with me forever. Much love, and God bless you all.